and wait to see what happens, so to keep it at that level. So the agents are driving pricing, and it will be interesting to see whether those motivated sellers will be prepared to accept a different pricing position, and whether that then stimulates the motivated purchasers to come in at those slightly lower levels. And, you know, we've seen since COVID, we've seen exponential improvements and increases in house prices and general property prices, that even if there's a 5, 6, 7% correction, it only takes us back a few months, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And is that such a bad thing?
I don't think, I genuinely don't think it is, because if you look at everything else, and this is where, particularly when we talk about the press, and everyone who's a regular listener in the room knows my views on the press and everything like that, and funny enough, this estate agent was saying the same thing, and we had a good old soapbox moan when we bumped into each other in the street, and it was like, for goodness sake, because they don't carry on talking about how the job market is, and how buoyant things are. And therefore it's just latching onto something that they've caught on in terms of maybe a couple of hundred products coming out of the term mortgage market, and not the thousands that are still available, or whatever the case may be. So no, I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's probably not a bad time of year for it to be happening. Everyone's sort of battened down the hatches for the winter, and then maybe start again afresh in the new year and crack on. I mean, from our point of view, and just for the benefits of the room, Andrew, I thought it might be worthwhile just asking you in terms of how we're seeing it affect us, because we're very much open for business. Yep. Our rates aren't changing. They're not tied to the Bank of England base rate. They are fixed for the duration of a project, and our projects are anywhere from 6 months to 24 months. So therefore, somebody starting off on a project, let's say now, or they're applying for finance now, it could take three months, 12 weeks before that finance is actually in place. Yep. Well, that's sort of the Christmas time, if not beyond, when the money comes out. And then they've got a minimum term of 6 months, which takes them to the middle of next year. Now, my personal view, and it is personal view, is by then we'll be cracking on without any doubt. But obviously, there is a slight issue where we're not reacting or knee-jerking at the moment, where people are trying to exit their loans. Is that a fair comment?
So to start with the inquiry side of things, we're still seeing £300 million worth of inquiries a month. Now, we're not going to write them all, but we are still, as you say, open for business, and we are still, and our proposition at a fixed rate is a better proposition for managing the risk for every developer, because they can pop into their appraisal the pricing metric of the loan that we're prepared to write for them, knowing that when they're into the loan and base rates change, we're not going to suddenly change our pricing mechanism, because, as you say, we're not a varied rate, we are a fixed rate. So that's good news for the borrower. Clearly, when we are writing our loans, we run through quite a lot of due diligence, often to the frustration of the borrower, but we are just trying to de-risk the loan and helping that borrower look at the issues, the uniqueness of his or her project, and trying to understand where the issues are and where the risks are, and getting them addressed before the loan is written. And you know what? Quite often we have our borrowers come to us and say, well, these are the risks, X, Y, and Z. We suggest, well, look, go and get a survey or a report on that done. Comes back, okay, what is the cost pressure on what you've discovered? Oh, it's X. Well, guess what? That should come off the land price. And we had a guy in here on Monday, And he's had a contract on a site in the Midlands for about 6 to 9 months. He's gone and got a planning consent for it, and he is now doing his due diligence, his ground investigation work, and all the rest of it. This is an eight house ground up development. He's doing all his investigations, and we've been alongside him from the beginning. And he was in the office saying, well, we've realised the ground conditions are such that we can't do normal strip foundations. We've got to do piling. And I said, so what's the cost on that? Yeah, well, it's about another 250,000. And I said, well, surely that comes off the land price. He said, definitely. And I've already agreed that with the landowner. And I'm going, well, this is where landowners are being told by the market, oh, you'll get X for it, but each piece of land is very different, and there are unknown issues that mean, well, that's fine, I can pay that for it where I stand today in an outline offer, but it's subject to X, Y, and Z, and when we get those reports in, there might be a pricing movement because, I don't know, the ground conditions are not good, or it's going to cost extra to get the power into the site compared to the other one down the road, because the main high voltage line is across the other side of that road, and I've got to close the road and dig a trench across the road to get it in, or the outfall drainage pipe is at 7 meters in the road, and up the road it was only 2 meters, so there's a bigger hole to dig, and all those sort of things. And so you go through this process, and it can be quite tiresome, because you're relying on consultants to go and do a report and inspections and all those sort of things, and getting the report, and you're paying out a fee or two for that. But actually, I'd much rather, we want to be able to be in a position where we're all writing that loan, and day one we know all the issues around that particular project that allows everybody to say, right, we're now ready to kickstart this site, and we're going to be able to deliver it in that amount of time because we've done all those reports already. And if there are anything coming in from the left wing, then that, that which does happen. For instance, I don't know, they can't get a supply of their window manufacturer or whatever. The supplier, the factory burns down, which means that they've effectively lost 12 weeks or something in the program. Well, these things happen, but at least we've covered everything we can up to the point where we've written the loan. So that's the writing of the loan, and we're being very conscious about that at the moment. Getting off one of our loans onto a term mortgage, because the borrower is refinancing to hold. That is a different problem, and yes, the mortgage market for those type of things is hard to read at the moment. Some people are saying they're writing loans, but they're not. They're just sitting them on the desk and pushing the bits of paper around because they're waiting for the Bank of England to make their statement next week. Others have closed because, again, but are coming back with new rates. I think somebody told me last week that they saw they had a term mortgage for an HMO fixed priced at 7.99%. Well, that's quite a hike from where it was 6 months ago. Others have managed to fix 6 months ago for another 2 or 5 year period, so well done to them. And others are on floating charges, where every month they're getting the letters from their mortgage company saying, oh, we've had to hike your rates 0.5%, your buy-to-let mortgage is now costing you another 50 quid a month or whatever it is. So there are issues there. I think that will start to move forward after next week. We're already seeing, actually, we had a payback earlier this week, actually, where the guys managed to get off us onto a term loan. So well done to them, but actually they're paying for that because the original offer rates were much lower than what they ended up paying. But sadly, that's where the finance industry is. They're attached to Bank of England rates. They're attached to the 5-year gilt position, and you know they have to unfortunately move the goalposts halfway through an application, which is regrettable, because obviously as a borrower you want to know where you stand sort of day one, and you want to be sure that come the writing of that loan it's on the same basis that you had agreed some weeks earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, it's going to be very interesting, but certainly we would encourage people to keep coming to us. Come to us early. Let's get yourself geared up. You know, we've got a number of people coming to us with subject to planning deals. As we say, you know, we think that it is personal opinions. We think that it will calm down. It's a good idea. It's a good thing to happen. I think it's a good time of year, as I said earlier. And by the time we get through to January of next year, we're hopefully going to be in a different position, but it's still relatively inexpensive to where it's been. But as we've said, Andrew, we've been very spoiled for numerous years with such low rates. But it hopefully is all going to go in the right direction. It's nice to have a little bit of confidence, I think, of people going, right, okay, this is going to be okay. Which is great. So thank you very much for that introduction. Much appreciated as always. We do have some special guests with us today following on our accessible design, universal design in the Purple Pound Room last week. If people know of anybody who might be interested in this conversation, we have 2 additional guests today who are very much going to bring that conversation of last week to life. Charles, I have sent you an invitation to speak. I will try again if you just keep an eye out and then manage to come up onto the stage. And if you don't mind staying muted, just to start with, and then we'll get you up here, and then we know everyone's here. But please do ping people in to the room if you think they might be interested in this conversation. Just before we start talking to begin with Ruth and Susanna, I'm going to... Oh, brilliant, Charles, thank you. Good to have you on the stage. I'm going to just do a couple of plugs. We're here every Thursday morning, Thursdays only, 8:15 for an hour or so. You know, if there's anything that you want to talk about, please do raise it with us. If you want us to sort of have a think about it first, please send messages via crowdproperty.com. You can catch most of us on LinkedIn. You can also send us direct messages here. If there's anything you want to talk about today with regards to our conversations today, you can send me direct message. You can put something in the room chat, which everyone will see, or you can raise your hand and come up to the stage. But you know, feel free. Anything you want to talk about, please do fire it across to us, or send direct messages to anybody on the stage if you wish to do so. No problem at all. Another thing that we're very proud of Crowd Property, that we sponsor Property Elevator. If you haven't seen Property Elevator, Ruth, who's on stage today, appeared on the television series and was absolutely superb. And one of the things we touched on last week about the issues in the accessible world is very much education from the start, right from literally universities, etc., maybe even earlier, but even through to developers now, and what opportunities lie out there, and sort of having this blinkered vision needs to take those blinkers off. There's a lot.
Turn on
But one of the things that Ruth, on her pitch to the angel investors, it's a bit like Dragon's Den, but for property people. There are 5 angel investors, and you go and pitch for equity, basically, and you give up a share of your profit at the end, normally 50-50. The angel investor will put in the equity. They will also obviously provide mentoring, and then hopefully the developer, the SPV, will come along to us and ask us for for senior debt finance, and we can then hopefully fund the project and work as a team member right the way through. Really good concept, really good. You can see everything backdated via propertyelevator.tv. But on Sunday the 6th of November, there's going to be Property Elevator Live, which I have seen before. It's at the Landlord Investment Show. which is great. This is going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm not sure when exactly Property Elevator Live will be on, but it's Sunday the 6th of November. It's at the Sheraton Skyline at London Heathrow. You do have to book for this. There are limited spaces. I believe they are actually full cost. They are for sale. There is a cost involved. They started off with 150 spaces, and that's starting to sell out. So if you are interested, jump onto propertyelevator.tv and go along and get yourself a ticket and go and listen to them. But also, to say, look back at propertyelevator.tv and you can look at previous episodes, etc. So that's my little plug for Property Elevator today. So as the room starts filling up, I say, please do invite people to come in. The more the merrier. Everyone's welcome. But I'm going to start just by introducing our guests, and we'll start off alphabetically in terms of Ruth and Susanna, if that's okay. I will say good morning to you, Ruth. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Yes, good, thank you. Bit from a wet and windy Cheltenham, but looking forward to today's conversation. So, good morning, everyone in the room. Thank you so much for joining us on this really important conversation. So if you were with us last week, you'll have a really good foundation. But if you are new to this conversation, then basically I am a property developer based in Cheltenham with a portfolio of HMOs and supported living property in Cheltenham and Gloucester. And as Rupert told you, that I appeared on I think it was series 4, of Property Elevator, where I was pitching a very small deal compared to a lot of the other deals. It was basically looking at assisted sales with regards to bungalows to adapt them for accessible housing. And I'm very much at the beginning of the journey with regards to sort of looking into how, as a developer, I can help solve a problem with regards to the lack of housing. But yeah, that's why I'm here today, to join the conversation, learn lots from Sally and Charles, who have got first-hand experience in the market. But yeah, thank you very much for having me today.
Super, good to have you, and thanks for your introduction, Ruth. Looking forward to having the conversation as we go through the next sort of 45 minutes or so, or however long people want to stick around for. And Susanna, good morning to you. Are you well today? How are you doing?
Oh, good morning, Rupert. Good morning, everybody. Oh, so going to be so exciting today. Yes, I'm very well. Already in front of the computer, arranging layouts for a new house. I've got a deadline tomorrow and I'm so not ready, so it's going to be a long day. I'm so looking forward to this conversation and